Pisces, I'm Ellie with PsychicFuture.com, and this is your horoscope from the 24th of September to the 30th. So hopefully last weekend you got to celebrate a little bit of the autumn equinox and did some nice harvesty things, indulged in a feast or celebration with your family. If you didn't, don't worry, there's still lots of kind of harvest energy in the air, so if you need some extra tips on what to do, you can check out my blog post on the Psychic Future website, and that will give you some little ideas on what to do. So we are now moving into Libra season this week, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the kind of spiritual depth of Libra, because it is something that is like washed over a little bit and not really talked about that much. And a lot of the time when we think of Libra, we go for the kind of superficial qualities that, you know, because Libra is ruled by Venus, we go, oh, it's about relationships and somebody's very charming and they're very well dressed and, you know, they're the hostess with the mostess and, you know, they're very good at talking and meeting people and, you know, beauty and art and music and all of this kind of stuff, which is very Venusian. And it is kind of true, but there's more depth to it, there's more meat to it than that. And a lot of this is to do with the symbol of Libra, which is the scales. So if you remember last week's video, we talked about the equinox. The equinox is when the days and the nights, they are of exactly equal length. So is essentially the gateway between the seasons. So we've got the half of the year where things are a little bit lighter, we've got more sunshine, we've got summer, you know, we're all going out, we're going to the beach and the barbecue, we're going out for days out and hanging out with our friends. And then you've got the other side of the year, which is like the dark side, where it's like the nights are getting longer, it's getting colder, it's getting quieter, we're spending more time inside, more time sleeping, it's very meditative, and we're all going within. And the equinox sits between these points, right? It's also the beginning of Libra season. So again, we have the scales, this equality of day and night, light and dark, within, without, you know, the yin and the yang. And it's basically, when you think about the qualities that I just mentioned that are usually thrown about with Libra, they're all very external and superficial. So when we talk about Libra as being charming and well-dressed and relationships, this is all of the outer. And actually this is only one side of the scales, and we're forgetting this side. But yet when you look at the symbol of Libra, it's never like that. It's always balanced, because balance is the essential kind of core of Libra. So what is the internal side, right? Because we've got all the external, and I think it's a lot to do with this very metaphysical principle of what you see outside of you is what you are inside, so it's this reflection. And this is kind of talked about in the very like metaphysical principle of as above so below, if you've heard that one. It's very old, very wise saying that takes a little bit of thinking to get your head around, but bear with me and I will tackle it. So talking of relationships, when you do this kind of like reflecting, like what you seek outside of you is what you have inside of you, relationships are a really good way of looking at that. So for example, when you look for a romantic partner, a lot of the time we'll go for somebody who has the opposite qualities to us, this idea of opposites attract. And that is essentially because we feel like we lack that inside of ourselves, and so we seek it outside of ourselves. So for example, it might be that, you know, you like people that are very loud and funny, and you know, you feel like perhaps maybe you're a shy, kind of reserved kind of person, and you're a little bit more serious and a little bit more sensitive. But actually, a lot of the time that is that you do have those qualities inside of you. You do have the ability to be loud and funny and, you know, kind of courageous in a group and these kind of things, but that perhaps the story that you're telling yourself is that, oh, I'm not like that and my personality is not like that. So then you don't embody those things, and then you seek them outside of yourself because you're trying to become whole. But essentially, we should be trying to become whole by ourselves. Not, obviously, I'm not saying like, you know, we shouldn't be in relationships, but like we should be two whole people coming together. We shouldn't be seeking something outside of ourselves, because we should be like building it inside of ourselves. So In psychology, there is a term that kind of describes this a little bit better, and it is projection. And this is a term that the really famous psychotherapist Carl Jung came up with. You might have heard of him. And it basically means that when you meet somebody for the first time, whatever you judge in their character, whether it's positive or negative, is actually a reflection of you and the things inside of you that you are perhaps denying. So in this example I gave of, like, you know, this confident, funny person, this is a lot of the time, these are qualities that you do have inside of yourself, but you're just not accepting and you're not allowing yourself to be, because perhaps you worry what people think of you, or you worry that other people might not accept it, or, you know, you just worry that it's not part of you. So then you don't try, and you don't kind of like try and build those qualities inside yourself. It also works from a negative perspective. So if you've ever met somebody and immediately you just think, oh, they're so annoying, they're just rubbing me up the wrong way for whatever reason. So perhaps in your case, Pisces, it might be like to do with, you think somebody is perhaps selfish because they put themselves first all the time and they don't think about other people's needs, they're not very empathetic. And so when you meet somebody like that, you think, oh, you know, I'm not keen on that kind of person. That could be a lot to do with a reflection on you, that you perhaps put your own needs to the back burner too much. So perhaps you're one of those people where you always put other people first, and you always think about other people above yourself, and you're so empathetic that you do anything for other people to the point where it gets to self-sacrifice. If you are that kind of person, and you do sometimes see these people and you go, oh, they're selfish, that is a reflection on you, that you need to be a little bit more selfish. And you don't have to go to the full extreme of what they're doing, but just a little bit. Like, you need to bring a little bit of that in, because actually that is a quality that you are denying in yourself, and then it's causing an imbalance. It's these scales again. And actually what you need to be doing is tipping the scales back up again and saying, you know, sometimes I need to put myself first. Sometimes I need to address my own needs before the needs of, you know, everybody else around me. And that's okay. You don't have to do it all the time, but just sometimes you need to tip those scales back up again. So yeah, this is a very like deep stuff here, but this is essentially what Libra season is about. It's about recognising what is outside of you and then using that to kind of learn something about yourself on the inside as well, and to kind of try and reflect it back a little bit and harmonise and balance a little bit better. So on a practical scale, ask yourself these questions this week. Take a look at your friends or your family or your partner and think, what things do I really love about them? And am I embodying that in myself? If I'm not, could I? Is that something that I could bring in a little bit more, that I could be a little bit more of? You know, and on the negative spin as well, think about things that really annoy you about people, and then think, okay, well, what does that say about me? Do I need a little bit more of that? Maybe I need a little sprinkle of selfishness here and there. You know, what does that say about me on an inner level? And yeah, this will really help you to kind of just accept yourself as a very complicated, multifaceted human being that has lots of different things going on and is, you know, working to become whole in themselves. So I'm going to pick you a tarot card now. I've got these lovely new little mini Rider-Waite cards that I got for myself for my birthday. So let's have one of these. Let's have a card for Pisces. Okay, this one. The Knave of Wands. Okay, so this is talking about courage. So you need to perhaps like drop some inhibitions in some way and move forwards in some direction with a little bit more bravery and a little bit more self-belief. Perhaps if you've been feeling like a little bit like you don't know which direction to take, or you don't know if the direction that you've chosen is the right one, then this is telling you that you need to like have a little bit more faith. Like, you're not there yet, and that's okay. You're like at the beginning of the journey, you're learning new things, you're choosing new directions in some, you know, kind of new territory that might make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but that's okay. It's okay to be a beginner, it's okay to like start on a new path and move forwards. You just need to have faith that you will get there eventually. So yeah, that's a really nice card for this week. Hopefully it resonated with you. And yeah, check back in next week. Much love.